Hello again. So I just wanted to post this video real quick. I was reflecting, as I do quite a bit lately. And so I posted a video the other day basically saying that I felt like the things happening with the drones and everything, my intuitive feeling, and this was preparation. And I have to remember that a lot of times, because of everything that's happened in my life, I've had to pull out and view things from that higher perspective because what was happening in the 3D world was so unbelievable. And I believe that everything that I went through, and I do believe that there was some crazy things happening to me personally in the 3D world. And I had to start because I believe it's some part of the same powerful entity. I also would ask you to consider that by us not being empowered, we have given our power and we're looking for someone to save us. And one single person is never going to be able to. And our system is so corrupt at this point. And that's why for me, it's just so important that we heal and we become empowered and we start to recreate this world, and then we can rebuild our own systems, because these systems originally were supposed to be, they were created for us and by us. And then through this whole process, this is where it ended up, and we've forgotten our personal power in that process. So there was some crazy things, which I am not going to share about. I know in my gut that in this next couple years, I don't have to do anything, because I know that the truth is going to come out about a lot of things, and whatever was happening in my life, it will be exposed, and I don't have to do anything about it. And it doesn't matter, because the thing, what was happening on a personal level for me, and I really feel I've seen many times in my life where something happens to me on a personal level, and then as interesting as that may sound, but then there's something on a global level that happens in kind of a similar way. And so with this, I really feel like I went through this to see what it really was and see that they were not going to physically harm me. And it really got in my head for a long time. And fear kept me living, forgetting my personal power. And then I had to pull out and start looking at it from a greater, higher perspective and see, in the end, this is all building me. And it's the same thing with, I think on both sides now, it's pretty clear that when things were blown out of proportion and were really to induce fear around the things that happened in 2020. And so there is a darker agenda in place. And I believe we all know on both sides at this point that there is a lot of corruption throughout. And the good news is that I'm through the experiences that I had in my personal life, I had to realize that it was all mind games. And if I quit playing the mind games and looked at it from that greater perspective of, I really believe my soul helped set all of that up for me in my life. It was my life path. And those things, they only strengthened me. And if you look at what happened in 2020 globally, the way that it shook things up, where we've started to wake up and we've started, and all of this stuff started to surface and all the darkness started coming to the light. So from that perspective, it's a good thing. And so that's what I had to start doing, because nobody, and that's exactly how it was supposed to be, but nobody would listen to me. And the things that were happening and the things that I was saying were unbelievable. And it is designed that way for a reason. And there is darker agendas in place, but there is no reason to fear it, because we are in a point where we're shifting in such a big way. And those powers that thrive on false power, there has to be people that have forgotten their personal power in order for them to thrive. And more people are waking up and stepping into their authentic power. And then it's pulling the plugs on that big, powerful source. And so that's amazing and it's great. And also, I just want to say, because I do feel like a lot of things, what's happening with these drones and stuff is going to happen over the next couple years. And from a higher perspective, it is all preparation, because I do feel like we will make contact, probably with extraterrestrials in some physical form. I just really have that feeling that, and it's all good. They don't even know fear. They're higher dimensional beings. They, if anything, have been afraid of us because we are so violent where we've been up to this point. But we're approaching a point where we're ready. So I can see from that higher perspective that it is preparation for that. And in the 3D, yes, there probably is a darker agenda. And that doesn't matter, because if we stop playing the games, if we can take a step out and see what's happening and see the games that have been being played the mind games, the things that have kept us in fear. And if we can step out of that, also, I feel like when someone shows you who they are, believe them, that whole saying. And I feel like we've been shown over and over and over again, the corruption. And like I said, it is both sides. I am never taking a side. There is corruption throughout, and this system has become overly powerful. And I think we can all agree that it is no longer the whole thing was by the people, and it is by the corporations now. And it is these big, powerful things that are really running everything, and everything is skewed. And the media outlets are the same thing. So for me, I don't engage in that fear-driven content. It holds energetic vibration, and even just watching the news, and now with YouTube and things like this, there is so many people and so if I want to hear about something, I would rather get it from a source like that than for it to be fed through that frenzy of a whatever. And it is crumbling, and it is going to continue to, and that is exactly how it's supposed to be. It's making room for the new. And so that's what I choose to focus on. And even if there is a darker agenda with this, I really believe, and when I reflected on this and I sat with it, I intuitively really feel that it probably is something. But if we don't play in, and we don't buy into the fear, and we don't go into the panic, because no matter what happens, we will be okay. And I really feel that we're not going to get blown off the planet or anything. Even then, we would just transition. And I know that most people do not view things in that way. I know it to be true. And I'm just posing the point that if we look at history, we can see where things like this have played out. And things have gotten really crazy in this last few years because this false power, in order for it to thrive, has to have people that have forgotten their own personal power. So that's why I think it's so important that we heal and we learn to step into our authentic power, step out of the fear, and start maybe consider getting our news from other outlets, from listening to people with podcasts and listening to things from looking at things from a higher perspective. Because living in that fear-based way, if you really think about it, what does me being in fear about that and whatever they're doing, how does it serve me? And what am I going to do about it in this moment? Really, or what am I going to do about it at all? And for me, I know that there's not the biggest thing we can do is be responsible for our own healing process so we can be empowered and so we can show up in this world as the change that needs to happen. That is how we're going to rebuild. And that is how this false power from these powerful structures that have been created by us and it's not that we didn't do anything wrong. We've just been operating on autopilot like robots and we are incredibly powerful. Our minds are incredibly powerful. We are co-creators with the universe, and we are expressions of that creation. We are expressions of the universe. We are expressions of the energy that created everything. Incredibly creative. And I just invite you to take that perspective. I really wanted to share that, felt called to share it.